Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm Asia Gore. Our top story this half hour, the House has given final approval to the tax reform bill, meaning Republicans will head to the White House to celebrate with President Trump. CBS's Mola Langi has the details.
On this vote, the yeas are 224 and the nays are 201.
In a vote that was more formality than question mark, the House once again passed a $1.5 trillion tax bill.
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is passed.
The revote was necessary because the bill was tweaked slightly before the Senate passed it late last night along party lines. Analysts say there will be cuts across every income tax bracket. On average, taxpayers will see a savings of $1,600.
Including a doubling of the child tax credit and a nearly doubling of the standard deduction. That's going to be tremendous for people. They're going to start seeing the results in February.
Democrats oppose the bill because they say the majority of tax relief goes to corporations and the very wealthy.
The majority stood in the chamber, passed its partisan bill to provide tax cuts for millionaires, billionaires, and one president.
And the Democratic message appears to be having an impact, with CBS News polls showing most Americans say the plan will help corporations and only about a quarter saying it will help themselves. Republicans say that will soon change.
If we can't sell this to the American people, we ought to go into another line of work.
But for now, selling the merits of the bill will take a back seat to celebrating its passage. Republicans plan to gather with President Trump at the White House this afternoon. Mola Lengi, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The White House has not said when President Trump will sign the bill into law. A deadly bus crash in eastern Mexico on Tuesday claimed the lives of 8 Americans. The bus was carrying cruise ship passengers to Mayan ruins when it flipped over. 2 Swedes and 1 Canadian were among the 12 killed. 18 others were injured. Local reports indicate the bus drifted off the road and rolled after the driver tried to correct its path. The crash remains under investigation. The Vatican confirms Cardinal Bernard Law, the disgraced former Archbishop of Boston, is dead at the age of 86. Law was the Archbishop of Boston in 2002 when court documents revealed he did not stop other priests from molesting children. Law admitted that instead of removing priests who perpetrated sexual abuse, he assigned them to other parishes. Law died early this morning following an extended illness. And more than $70 million in assets of the Great Falls Billings Catholic Diocese could be at stake in a new bankruptcy filing against the church. Attorneys for 86 victims who were sexually abused by Eastern Montana priests and nuns now claim the Great Falls Billings Diocese understated its assets in its bankruptcy proceedings. The diocese had argued certain assets held in trust for its parishes were exempt from a settlement fund for victims. But in the latest filing in federal bankruptcy court in Butte, the victims' attorneys argue those assets should also be available for the settlement. The Diocese of Great Falls Billings filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection back in March, in a move that the church officials said would help develop a compensation fund for victims and set aside money for more victims who come forward. A diocese representative in Great Falls said the church will give a statement at a later time. The Great Falls teenager who admitted stabbing an 18-year-old woman to death last year will spend the next 6 decades behind bars. 17-year-old Joseph Knowles was sentenced Tuesday in Cascade County District Court for the murder of Megan Merriweather. Prosecutors say Knowles had planned to rob Merriweather after setting up a drug deal. The victim brought a knife to the meeting and got into a struggle with Knowles' accomplice, 18-year-old Brianna Coombs. Knowles took the knife and fatally stabbed Merriweather during the altercation. Coombs has yet to be sentenced on 1 count of robbery. The Helena man accused of stabbing 2 people on Monday makes his first court appearance. Rainbow Cloud Peters was charged Tuesday with attempted murder and assault with a weapon. Prosecutors say Peters was arguing with a woman downtown when Peters charged the victim with 2 knives. Another man was stabbed when he tried to intervene. Police say the female victim suffered life-threatening injuries. Peters was tackled by an officer and a citizen and then arrested. Bond is set at $50,000. The Pend Oreille County Sheriff, accused of assaulting his son, will not change his plea to the criminal charge this week as planned. Sheriff Carl Suda was set to plead no contest to misdemeanor assault, but he decided this week to withdraw his change of plea. Suda's son reported being kicked by his father while he was in the fetal position, and Suda previously admitted the assault. An attorney, though, for Suda has requested a new trial date. A former Bureau of Indian Affairs officer now admits he impregnated a Lame Deer woman who he threatened to arrest if she didn't have sex with him. Dana Bullcoming pleaded guilty in U.S. District Court in Billings on Tuesday to the charge of deprivation of rights under the color of law. Bullcoming entered the woman's home unannounced to question her about a complaint. The woman told Bullcoming she was intoxicated. Bullcoming now admits he then pressured the victim to have sex with him under the threat of arrest. That woman became pregnant, and DNA tests show Bullcoming is the father. A sentencing date has yet to be set. After 11 years in the position, the Kalispell police chief makes a surprise announcement. He's stepping down. Chief Roger Nassett broke the news at last night's council meeting that he plans to leave the job at the end of the month. Nassett started at the department in 1994 and took over as chief in 2007 after Frank Garner stepped down. Captain Wade Rademacher will serve as the interim chief until a successor is named. Nassett says he feels he is leaving the department at a good time. A fatal crash north of Browning on Tuesday is under investigation today. A 75-year-old Lakeside man died in the single vehicle crash. Montana Highway Patrol reports the man was northbound on Secondary Highway 464 when the vehicle drifted off the right side of the road. The vehicle went down a steep embankment and hit a barbed wire fence. MHP says the roads were covered in snow and ice. Speed is a factor in the crash. And on that note, we turn now to the weather scene with Ed McIntosh to see where snow is popping up around the rest of the state.
Yeah, and that's been a really hazardous area, Asia. As we take a look across the state, we just took a sample of some of the snow totals to show you around Glacier National Park. Shown to Marysville, we're looking at 1 foot to 2 feet of new snow being reported there. Along the High Line, Saco, Zortman in the area of about 6 inches. Cook City in the mountains of southwest or southeast central Montana, rather, 3 to 8 inches of snow there. In the Livingston area, also showing some snow along I-90. Libby, Columbia Falls, west of Kalispell, up in northwestern Montana, around 1 foot to 1.5 feet of new snow. Still expecting more accumulations here. Our latest analysis shows a lot of this concentrating on northeastern Montana. We'll take a closer look at that with the forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ed. We'll check back in. A new report from the University of Montana shows fires cost Montana much more in lost tourism dollars than expected. More than 1 million acres burned across the state, with Missoula and Flathead counties hardest hit. UM's Institute for Tourism and Recreation Research now estimates Montana lost up to 800,000 visitors, worth more than $240 million in tourism. A survey shows 1/3 of tourists who did visit western Montana in July, August, or September said the smoke wasn't bad enough to negatively impact them. 10% of those surveyed said they couldn't go to their planned destination, and 7% switched to a different part of the state. The researchers warn the financial impact of these fires could be a bigger issue in the future. An osprey recently built its nest on top of a 50,000-volt power line, which not only posed a danger to the bird, but the community of Seeley Lake. A spokesperson for the Missoula Electric Co-op says wet twine in the bird's nest could either knock the line out or start a fire on top of the pole. Mrs. Bartlett's class at Seeley Lake Elementary School designed osprey nest poles as part of their lesson on engineering. The students tested different models to find the safest environment. The osprey have migrated for the winter, but once they return, the class will observe how the birds take to their new home. Missoula Electric Co-op donated a brand new pole, and Pyramid Mountain Lumber donated land where the nest platform was installed. Still ahead on the new news, more details emerge in the investigation into a deadly Amtrak crash. We'll take you to Washington. But first, Ed has our weather forecast. Stay tuned.
You're watching MTN News with Asia Gore, Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh, and Farm and Ranch News.